Raw story, yeah. Bit shoppy though. But I like TV. What we need is a pop out one. You get a pop out one. That's what we need, and then we have to. Audio system. But Robson's not the best with that. He's telling everybody that, isn't it? I might just ask him about if I'll be trying to check the shop here again. Sorry, Bobby Bob. Check the lighting for me. That's great, thank you. Finally, then put tickets in. But it's a bit delayed anyway, isn't it? Yeah, it just looks a bit choppy, that's it. So we can give it a sec, so it's a bit behind, isn't it? They are. No, he has. Obviously, that's slightly behind, isn't it? The left hand side's a lot better. Something else. What is the music? It's not going to sing.
Yeah, I see.
I mean, the SD card's full of it. Start finding it.
Should we start?
I just leave our why I used to record this just in case. You still go back okay. Seems no clear free SD card.
1-minute warning. We will begin in 1 minute. Thank you. Bonjour.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the second question time for the leadership elections. So the process will be that we'll invite a set of candidates on. They will have a minute to tell you why you should support them. I will then ask them a specific question on their manifestos, and then we will open up to the audience for some questions. And the first role today is president. So could the presidential candidates please come? Lovely. Okay, so Alex, we're going to start with you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Your minute starts now.
Hello everyone, I'm Alex Garner, I'm a third year sports studies student. I've been on the student council for the past year now as a Bucks representative, and I've also been on a committee as his secretary. And my idea for writing my manifesto, I had an image in my mind of what you would want to be as an ideal student when you graduate. So not just someone with a degree, but someone who's had work experience, voluntary experience, and also has something that stands out on your degree. I'm also really passionate about health and lifestyle and well-being, so I wanted to introduce some showcases and skill showcases to help with skills with cooking, relaxation techniques, de-stressing techniques, things like that, to help you stay happy, healthy and focused on your degree. I think I'd stand out as a president as I'm quite well-rounded. I commuted in my first year. I didn't live on halls. I've been part of a society and not part of society. Also studied an elective module, so I've got quite a wealth of knowledge from different groups.
Thank you. So Alex, my question to you is, student employability is something that's important to you in your manifesto. What do you think the Students' Union can do to maximise the potential of the students that engage with it?
Well, I think there are plenty of jobs in Worcester, part-time jobs and also voluntary jobs. I got involved with the SU crew, which is the SU's volunteering service to help with events like this, and also through Welcome Week. They're always asking for hours and slots to help with, and I think societies and sports are sort of the gateway into helping people get involved in that. They're the most involved with the university at the moment, so they can really push for volunteering and also get them looking at the part-time roles that are advertised by the university on Instagram and Facebook, and coming in to talk to people about opportunities as well.
Lovely, thank you. Jordan, we'll move over to you now. Your time starts now.
Hi everyone, my name is Jordan and I've got some unfinished business, that's why I'm wearing this hat. If I was elected, a huge part of my role would be for student welfare. So the first point on my manifesto is to expand our mental health campaign into males in particular, because I think that there's still a stigma around that. Secondly, I'd like to create a look after campus culture. So currently we have training to help your friends understand their mental health and also to intervene with sexual assault and things like that, so I'd like to make that available to all students. And also I'd like to be a voice for our minority groups, our mature students, our disabled students, our LGBT students, just to make sure they've got a platform at a university level. I've also got points on my manifesto about expanding our outdoor social spaces and increasing the communication between the students and the disability and dyslexia service.
Wonderful. Thank you. So Jordan, my question to you is, what would you look to do reducing the stigma around mental health?
Okay, so as we all know, the rate of male student suicide is quite high. like to have a males-only campaign, although it seems a bit exclusive. I think it's really, really important, and we would just promote it through the SU and through the university.
Lovely, thank you. Katie, we'll move over to you. Ready? Go.
So hi, I'm Katie and I'm a third year sports therapy student. During my time at university I've been a member of Ladies Rugby, also on the committee for the last 2 years. I've got 4 main aims in my manifesto, the first of which is to continue the emphasis of the importance of student welfare, both physical and mental. A survey conducted by NUS found that 66% of students were unhappy, and this is something that we need to work on to improve. Secondly, I want to work with universities to ensure that the information that we put out there is all up to date. Thirdly, provide more opportunities for the students who live on city campus and in the city centre. The SU presence has increased over 3 years, but it could still be more. And finally, increase the events and support for students who have high demand of placement. Courses such as nursing and midwifery have huge amounts of placement and huge amounts of high workload. And since the NHS bursaries gone, they pay to be here. I think the SU needs to recognise that and support them more. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. So Katie, my question to you is, in your manifesto you talk about students who have placement commitments. What events would you like to be able to put on for them?
So I think one of the things that I'd quite like to do for placement students is to be able to have a part-time officer specifically to work with them about what they want, incorporate a group where they can come and talk to us and about how we can best help them. A lot of education and allied health professionals have one of the highest dropout rates of university courses. I think it's such an important course that we need to try to keep it here. I think that's something that we need to work on.
Lovely, thank you. Megan, if we move over to you? Yeah, ready, go.
So, hello, my name is Megan Lloyd and I'm obviously an Worcester. I'm currently a forensic psychology student. I've taken an active role in committees over the years. I was the treasurer and welfare officer for Nightline. I'm currently a chair and was a social sec for the Harry Potter Society. Because of that, I have experience in running and managing events, so I could be a point of call for any sports and societies that needed help with putting on their own events, because I know how hard it can be. Also, I'd like to introduce a vetting system for landlords, as the university currently doesn't have one at all, and told me it's students' responsibility. I'd like to integrate more students, so placement students with tailored events. I'd also like to integrate the city students with us by having more of an SU presence over there. And mental health is another thing that I'd like to work on, as there's currently a 3-month waiting list and 200 students, so I think we need to bring this down massively. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Megan, my question to you is, what issues do you think students currently face with their landlords and renting privately?
Well, one example I can have is my personal experience. Last year I went with a landlord who I found at the housing fair here, and I ended up in a horrendous situation with my landlord, who was crazy, as well as my next door neighbour who used to call the police on us every day, reporting that we were having parties when most of the time I was probably watching EastEnders or something. So that used to happen daily. So I think a lot of the time students can either be led into contracts that they're paying too much, or can actually be led into opportunities where they're not treated as everyone else would be treated. We're treated differently, and actually landlords think they can take advantage of us just because we're students, and obviously we are new to renting. So I think the university needs to take responsibility for that and needs to introduce a vetting system, as all you need now is a HMO licence in order to advertise for the university.
Lovely, thank you. Lucy, if we move over to you. You ready? Go.
Hi, I'm Lucy Comp and I'm a third year psychology student. I'm also chair of Loco Shoko Musical Theatre Society. There's 4 key themes on my manifesto. Promotion of the SU. I don't think people know what happens. I don't think they promote all the brilliant infrastructure we have in place. I want to improve the entertainment that's on offer, but I want to know what you want. I don't want to be, telling you what you want. You need to come and tell us what you want to see going on. Equality and awareness. I want to raise campaigns. The campaigns that the SU run at the moment are brilliant, but again, what do you want to see being campaigned for? What is close to your heart? And finally, engagement with the SU. And there's so many students that don't know this place exists and what it can do for them. At the heart of my whole manifesto is every single student here. You all have opinions, you all have things you want to change. Let's listen to them, let's get you involved, let's put you back in the front of the SU.
Spot on a minute, well done. Okay, Lucy, so my question to you is, you talk a lot about the promotion of the groups of students within the Students' Union. Could you elaborate on your plans for these events?
Yeah. So, obviously there's lots of different group students in the SU, not just sports and societies, but groups, mature students, placement students, tailored events to them. So, placement students, even when I've been campaigning today, going around and saying to people, what do you want to see? What events do you want going on? Daytime events, early evening events. They want to form a community within their own spaces so that we can boost and shout about how wonderful Worcester is. I think everyone can enjoy their time at university, and by supporting events and promoting them properly, how do people hear about events at this university? It's through word of mouth. Let's get on social media. Let's shout about what we're putting on, and that way we can all be heard and we can all have a good time and create the memories that you'll remember.
Lovely, thank you. And then Chris, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
So my name is Chris Towler. I'm a third year cricket coach and a management student here at the University of Worcester. I'm also a course rep and I'm treasurer of the Worcester Basketball Society. I've wanted to be SU president for a long time now because all of my best times at this university come from spending time with students, doing activities at the Students' Union. I believe truly that I have a manifesto that benefits every student in this society. There's something on my manifesto for you today. I want to create better parking facilities at St John. I want more media coverage for sports teams and societies. I want increased benefits for sports teams and societies. I want a more active presence on city campus. I want a more proactive approach to mental health issues. We have some excellent mental health systems here, but as of now, you have to go and find that. And I've learned from my experiences, that's not the way that some people with mental health issues, or even people, grade students with mental wellbeing problems work.
Lovely, thank you, Chris. So my question to you is, in your manifesto you say that you want to provide some more volunteering opportunities for students. How would you want to do this, and what would you want those opportunities to be?
I want those opportunities to be for every single course here at the university. I go about that by increasing the SU contact base and then advertising where we can, and then hopefully we can create some opportunities for our nursing students, for our mature students that commute, for our sports Institute of Sports and Exercise Science students, for our science students, and for every student that we need.
Lovely, thank you. So we'll move on to the questions from the audience now. I should have mentioned earlier, sorry. Please make sure that you don't ask candidate-specific questions. They need to be questions that any candidate could answer, so whether it be about an issue or something general. And then when the candidates want to answer, if you raise your hand or nod to me, I will then say this candidate, then this candidate, so that everyone has equal opportunity to answer the questions. So, does anybody in the audience have any questions immediately for the presidential candidates? No? Well, again, it's a good job I've come prepared with some backup questions. So, first question to the candidates. It costs the Students' Union £20,000 a year to affiliate with NUS. How would you ensure that Worcester engages within the national student movement, and also, do you think it's relevant that we do? Yeah, Jordan?
Not many people know about our NUS conferences, so being affiliated with the NUS means that all of our little groups get to go to conferences, get to hear what's happening at a national level, and I think that's really, really important. Also, the NUS card is pretty handy for all your little discounts and things like that. But having a voice at a higher level just makes our small university spread its wings a bit more. That's really good.
Lovely. So Lucy had her hand next, then Alex, then Chris.
Yeah. I agree. I think the affiliation with the NUS puts us on a national platform. It means we can vote in national campaigns about what we want to see. I think it's vital to be a part of that still. The £20,000, when you buy an NUS card, the money goes back into the Students' Union. So all the whole time, it may seem like £20,000 to be affiliated with it, but not only do you get your NUS card, it comes back into the Student Union as well. Having the voice to raise issues that are particular to Worcester University and our own students, I think it's vital that we do remain a part of the NUS.
I believe NUS is very important for us to also have the same opportunities and be on the same sort of board, that we can have our opinion, have our say as any other university, to give our students the same opportunities. To make it effective and sort of efficient, it's important to target it. For example, I'm a third year student. If I went to carry on now, I think, is it worth weighing up paying for an NUS card now? Whereas if you aim it at your first year students, the savings and deals that they could get throughout the 3 years will really make a difference.
Thank you. Chris?
I believe it's irrelevant what I think about NUS. I think it's more about what the students feel about NUS. Now, yes, there are some benefits to the NUS. It does go back into the system, and it is nice to have a card. However, would we rather have that £20,000 to put into our own society, into our own infrastructure? That's something that we as a union have to decide. If I'm elected president, I'll make sure that every single person's voice is heard with regards to whether we stay with it.
Megan?
I need to be.
Yeah. Okay, so another question from me. If elected, you will lead the Students' Union. You'll be the lead representative for all students at Worcester. During your term of office, the UK will officially leave the European Union. How will you ensure that international students are supported during this challenging time? So Megan first, then Alex, then Jordan.
There's currently no financial support for international students, so I think we need to go to the university and make them responsible. If we're going to accept international students, we need to give them a good level of support as we do with our home students. I also think as there are societies for the international students, we should make sure they're properly integrated in with the rest of the students. So I think overall, in terms of supporting them while we leave the EU, we need to make sure they get the correct financial support first of all, to make sure they can complete their course just like everyone else. And we need to make sure they know that are included within the rest of the student body.
Thank you. Alex, Jordan, and Chris.
I've got quite first-hand experience, very good friends with an international student who really struggled to get finance between the governments and the funding. I think it's very important, it has been sorted out, and it's very important to make sure that you may have those troubles with communication and financial issues. It's important that they feel welcomed and they've got a friendly support network, so that while they're at uni, people are helping them sort it out, and they can still enjoy their time at uni, focus on their studies without having this anxiety or worry about staying at university, staying in the country. And I also think it's a great opportunity for us to also learn about other cultures, run events or daytime activities where we can gain from them as much as they can get out of Worcester as well.
Jordan?
I would say that our international students are quite well integrated, and I know personally that one of my friends has gone to their country of origin just to talk about the University of Worcester. So I think it'd be really, really useful to use our students who know how great we are to take it back to where they're from and tell everyone like that.
Chris?
Firstly, I think, like everyone on the panel, I think it is of paramount importance that our international students do feel welcome here. They provide opinions and stories different to our own, but really rich in our culture. I believe one of the most important things for a lot of international students is to be able to retain their culture, and that comes first through retaining, if they have any of their own religious beliefs, with better publications and multi-faith travel that we have here on campus, but also events in the SU where we can take different cultures and experience different cultures, entertainment and other ways that different cultures can integrate into our own.
Thank you. Katie?
Just taking it back to the point about the EU, we are leaving, but we did have students come from places outside the EU, from the EU, before the EU existed, and people have been studying abroad from our university and from other universities in the UK. So I don't think people need to worry too much. We will still have some form of an international student body, and I think I echo what everyone else has said about supporting the welfare here, but I think we need to support them in not worrying about being allowed to study here and what will happen once we leave. They will still be allowed to complete their degree.
Thank you. Lucy, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, just basically the same. Being friends with a lot of international students. A lot of them are slightly worried about their friends coming over, but as long as the support place is there and the supporting system financially integrated into the society of Worcester, the things that exist here already, it's already in place.
I'm going to take this opportunity to open to the audience again. Is there any questions? Yeah? Hang on.
What would you do as president for National Holocaust Memorial Day, as the university doesn't do enough for this? So what would you do to overcome this and why?
Okay, so just to repeat the question, if you were elected, what would you do for National Holocaust Memorial Day? So Lucy, then Chris, then Alex.
So this is on my manifesto about the matter to you, the campaigns and awareness that you want to see around the university. Obviously this week we're all in t-shirts, we're all shouting about the election. Let's do it for the campaigns that matter to you. For National Holocaust Day this year we had a speaker come in. Let's do that more often. Let's shout about the things that you want to hear.
Yeah, Chris?
Firstly, I believe the Holocaust was significant, not just in Jewish history, but in our history as a whole. We should all be getting more against National Holocaust Day. One thing I do, I turn into National Holocaust Week, which is that important. Secondly, we have more media awareness. Hopefully we have more guest speakers. And then we could call on the Jewish students in our university, in our student union, to share some of their experience about how they feel about the Holocaust and how that affects their Jewish faith and their practice today.
I said yesterday in the question time, this is something that's really quite important to me, to have these seasonal and cultural events and activities such as the Black History Month, LGBT Month, and other significant events throughout the year such as this. It's my aim to really get those going throughout the year, whatever it may be. It's something specific then to different groups. You're appealing to everyone, not just the same similar events that some people like. It's a specific event that everyone can relate to. It's also educational as well. Some people might not be aware of these significant events in history or the dates of them. So it's important to get people knowledgeable about it so that, more well-rounded, I suppose.
Yeah, Katie, then Megan?
Yeah, I think maybe we don't do enough as a university across the board for Memorial Days. I know in first years that's the only year where I've been in university when we've held them in the silence. So I think it's important that we, across the university, reiterate the importance of events like this. And I think the education side of it is really important. It's something that we could improve.
I totally agree with what everyone else is saying. I do think cultural events like this are super important, and I totally agree that I don't think we do enough. I think that we need to listen to the students about what type of events and what type of celebrations they want to take place. So, for example, in terms of a memorial, I think we need to utilise our student body. So, of course, we have students here that the Holocaust probably would have affected in some way. Everyone has families, so I think we should let the students take the lead on things like this. It will be a really good opportunity for people to learn things that they didn't know, and it is also a really good experience for us to all group together and learn about each other's personal experiences, because everyone's gone through hardship, so it will be a really good time for us to understand what each other have been through as well. So I do think events on like that are super important. We should make sure we do it for a lot more.
Anybody else? No? Okay, any other questions from the audience? Yeah?
So you talk about promoting Black History Month and LGBT Month. I personally believe in integrating these sort of movements into history globally, compared to relegating them down to 1 month of history. I mean, you don't have 1 month of White History Month, you don't have 1 month of the medieval month. So I'm curious as to how you're going to incorporate these cultural and social movements into a more globalised approach, in the sense how you're going to teach students about Black lives and their history compared to just 1 month.
Okay, who's first? Katie, then we'll raise the
I think I completely agree. I think it's something that should be at the forefront of our minds at all times of the year, not just in specific months. But I also don't completely agree. I think having those months is very important in raising awareness, and by a rate, if we can educate one person each day in that month, and then they're aware of it for the rest of their year and their life, that's incredible. I think in terms of incorporating it more throughout the year, we've got some great societies, and we need to maybe incorporate more of those events throughout the year, of them speaking to us and educating us on what they're passionate about.
Jordan, Alex?
So what I was going to say is that I know for sure that LGBT History Month is nationwide. It's not just us, so we're not focusing on just one month, just because that's how it is. But also, I think it's so important that we use our part-time officers and our societies to promote that through their societies through the year, through small campaigns, but that month brings together all universities across the UK and
Yeah, not to echo what's already been said, but those months are sort of a catalyst to carry on the beliefs and the ideas throughout behaviour and throughout the rest of the year. It also comes into my sort of sense of community, getting more people involved, not just in volunteering, but working outside of your own little circles, your own little peer groups. You mix with different people, you learn to speak and behave differently with different people. I think, so it's quite suitable to get that sense of community and continue to use these as a catalyst for change.
So Megan, Lucy, then Chris.
I do agree that in terms of Black History Month and all similar, that it shouldn't just be dedicated to, say, 1 month. It's something we should think about all year round. So in terms of doing that, I think we have a lot of societies who are dedicated, like we have our LGBT society, and I think we should be encouraging groups like this to put on different events, and we should be encouraging all students to interact with each other, so put on as many events as possible throughout the entire year to promote everyone integrating together. On the other hand, I do, as well as I think it should go on all year round for everyone, because that's the way it should be, everyone should be integrated together. I do think these months, these weeks, these days are really important as well, because I think it just means on that particular time we can have a focus on a certain issue, and that would mean that we can educate more people about a singular issue on a day or week or a month. So I do think it's really important that we make sure there is a concentration on integration throughout the entire year. It shouldn't just be at one specific time. So I think this is done through societies, but as well as this, I think we then need to use these specific times to just celebrate the history, so educate new people and celebrate these specific events.
Thank you, Lucy.
Yeah, echoing exactly what everyone said, the month exists as a starting block so people get to think about it, and that's when all the information's readily available. But particularly within RSU, we have the part-time officers whose job it is to raise awareness of these matters. We have our LGBT officer, we have our mature students officer, we have our ethnic minorities officer. Let's use them all year round, and the month is just so you know where the information can be, and then we carry on doing a good job.
Thank you, and Chris?
I believe Black History Month and LGBT Month should act as a platform, but this is where something I have in my manifesto links in. I want increased media awareness for every society. For the LGBT society, we've just had, I saw them doing their bake sales, we have just had LGBT Month. I believe if we use that as a platform, really market it, really sell it with live stream ideas, with a centralised Twitter issue, that we can educate the whole union about Black struggles, about LGBT struggles, and about their history. And that way we can enrich ourselves as people and as a student union.
Lovely, thank you. So there's a final question from me. I'm going to be really neat and ask you to answer it in less than 5 words. So, the university is currently updating its strategic plan. What do you think the main priority should be? It doesn't have to be 5 exactly, but just very short and to the point. Yeah, so the university is currently updating its 5-year strategic plan. What do you think their main priority should be?
Does it have to be a sentence or just 5 individual?
Just a sentence, just one priority. Alex?
I'd go engagement, progression, enjoyment, progression, development, and
yeah, Chris?
A sentence for me, every student has their say.
Thank you. Lucy, Jordan?
Let's celebrate students together.
engage students at higher level.
Yes. Katie, Megan?
Increase engagement of students mature students and minority group students.
And Megan?
It's not going to be 5 words, but I think the main priority should be student well-being.
Lovely. Can we have a round of applause for our president? Next, can we have candidates for Vice President Education, please? Can you make sure that you're buying a yes. Okay, so the same process as before. Kelly, I'm going to ask you to go first, if that's okay?
Yeah, let's go.
And your minute starts now.
Hello, I am Kelly Gates. I'm in my 3rd year sports development and coaching. I'm institute rep and course rep for sport. I want to be VP education because I want to work on a few things that I think could improve student wellbeing, which I've found out the last few years, which include things like course rep recruitment system, making it student based, and a reward for going through being a course rep. I also want to improve mental wellbeing, so I've been working with Paul Castle this year on the drop-in sessions, and I think this will be a good way to start filling the gap of the 3-month waiting list for counselling. I want to put this mental health wellbeing training for inclusivity reps and for staff, and then I want to do things like letting you choose your PAT tutor, so making it your choice, so it's somebody that you get on with that can write a reference, and then increasing opportunities at first point as well, such as the money, access to learning fund and things like that.
Lovely, thank you. So Kelly, my question to you is, why do you think it's important that students should be able to choose their personal academic tutors?
Personally, I had a bad experience in my 1st year. I didn't get on with my personal academic tutor, and when I saw them, I felt like they didn't want to see me because I was 1st year. Since changing my PAT tutor, I feel like they're writing the reference that they're writing, they know me, so they can include everything around the sort of studies that I've been doing. Also, when you go to see a PAT tutor, you want it to be someone that's approachable. I know I can go anytime to see my PAT tutor, and I know they'll support me no matter what, and I can tell them anything that I'm struggling with outside uni that I need support with, and I think that's important when you're at uni and you need somebody that you can talk to no matter what. That's a senior member of staff.
Lovely, thank you. Ivan, ready? Go.
My name is Superman, and I'd like to start with a bit of an ad-lib. I was walking down the pathway just by the school and just watching those kids' faces light up and cheer me on. I'm honestly tempted to just wear it all year if you vote for me as your Vice President of Education. Now let's go on to the serious stuff with academia. My 2 main points are personal academic tutor reform and course rep reform. I want to make course reps something worth standing for. I want to make it an accountable role where people would want to be elected for it. Now let's go on to my next point, which is idea of community in Worcester. I feel like the city campus is a hot topic issue that everyone should be worried about, and I feel that's the same in St John's. One of the only social spaces we have is the hangar. I believe we need more social spaces in the city campus and in St John's. And finally, I would like to address LGBT and Black, Asian minority ethnic representation in academia. I'm not Black, Asian minority or ethnic, nor am I a woman, but I'd still like to make change. Vote Superman. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Ivan, my question to you is, could you please expand on what you mean by making the position of course rep a role worth applying for?
Again, I'd like to make it something with accountability in mind. I'm the Worcester Business School Institute rep at the moment, and we have a number of course reps. Unfortunately, not all of them actually work with me. I have 2 very dedicated course reps for the whole of the Institute, not naming names of course, but I'd like to make it where there's a specific guideline for course reps on how to do their job and how they can target students and bring about change in your institutes.
Thank you. Ewan? Ready? Go.
First, I'd just like to begin with saying it's been a pleasure to be your VP for the last 9 months. It's a role I've thoroughly enjoyed and would quite like to continue on doing it. The manifesto this year I feel is the next stage of what I've been working on this year. So for example, in terms of academic representation, next year new code of practice, so all the procedures and processes that we've been agreeing this year will go into action, and I'd like to be the person that implements that, as well as the operational changes about how we're training course reps, how we're recognising them. Secondly, employability. I'd like to see better recognition for what you guys do extracurricularly, and a career fair that caters to a wide range of students, especially those on courses that maybe don't have a direct career path. Next, communication. Communication is key. I want to improve communication with you guys, the university and the SU. And the final point is to continue being a strong voice for Worcester students, both here at the university and nationally during this time of change.
Lovely, thank you. So Ewan, my question to you is, in your manifesto, you mentioned that communication with students is the key. Why do you think it's important?
I think it's important for a number of reasons. Obviously, when we have important messages to get across to you as a university or as a students' union, we need to make sure that we are getting them to you in an appropriate manner, and that you guys are able to take in the information. But also, with anything in communication, it's how you guys are communicating to us. So you guys need to be confident, in my opinion, of if you have something you'd like to raise, whether it be an issue, whether it be some feedback, some praise or whatever, you know how you can go about that and communicate it to us. So I think as a sort of an overarching principle of communication I think we should have as a university is to keep it personal as much, because we respond well when it's personal, and that's, I think, how you can get the messages across as well, if possible.
Tisha, you ready? Yes. Okay.
Cool, so I'm Tisha Harris. I'm currently a third year drama and performance student. I'm also the Vice Chair / Secretary of Local Musical Theatre Society. The reason I'm running for Vice President of Education is because people don't realise drama as a subject is very, very ingrained in education. It's one of the most effective education tools that's out there, and I don't think that's being properly communicated to the wider university. I've got 3 main points in my manifesto. First one is to have committed course leaders for every single course. Some courses are great at having that through line from course reps to institute reps to course leaders. Some aren't so great. A lot of the time, as an institute rep this year, I have found that you can tell course leaders something, but they won't actually action it. And there's no point in having course reps and institute reps if the course leaders aren't going to do their share of the job. My other 2 points are to revise the joint honours system to make it a bit easier for the joint honours students we have, and also to have more career opportunities, especially for vocational courses that don't get the shout out that they should.
So Tisha, my question to you is, you mentioned that one of your biggest goals is for all students to have an enjoyable education. What main things do you think can contribute to this?
And personally, being in a society for 3 years, I completely agree that societies and sports are an amazing way to have a really good time at uni. But the main reason we are here is to get degrees and to our education to further our career prospects. I think once you're at university, sometimes you come into university not knowing what you're going to come out doing. And I think if you don't have those career opportunities shown to you throughout your time at uni, you can get sort of bogged down. I know, being in a vocational subject myself, we don't get a lot of career opportunities shown to us, and we can get a bit sort of like, why am I here? What's the point of being here for 3 years if I don't know what sort of job I can go into? And that can sort of bog you down. It becomes less enjoyable. I think using these career opportunities to sort of drive us is a good way to do it, and putting different educational methods into it, so using different ways of teaching, is great.
Lovely, thank you. Are there any questions for the candidates of Vice President Education from the audience? Yes, at the back. Bear with.
So, like the manifestos between the 4 of you, somewhat similar, how do you feel that you are going to carry your manifesto differently or better than one of your candidates?
Okay, so almost like a how do you stand out to the other candidates? Yeah, okay. Yeah, Katisha, then Ivan?
I fully agree with what everyone else is saying about developing the course rep system and how they're chosen and how they're trained. But to be honest, I don't think that's the first place we need to be looking. We've done a lot of work, Human's done a lot of great work at looking at the course rep system this year, and the institute reps. Having worked as an institute rep under Ewan, it's been great and he's been amazing. But we're not getting that response back from the course leaders and back from the lecturers. There's no point getting all this information and getting all these great ideas if they're not going to be actioned. At the end of the day, the lecturers are the ones teaching you. They're the ones planning your lessons, and they're the ones that you see 30 hours a week. If we don't get them to implement what we're saying, there's no point in developing the course rep system, because we're still going to have the same issues again for the next year or 3.
Thank you. Ivan?
Thank you, Katisha. So, what it says on my manifesto is, one does not simply become a Vice President of Education. Being a Vice President of Education is not an easy job, and I suppose it's my job to prove that I'm different from all the other candidates, that my manifesto is worth your vote as students. Now, how do I differ from the other candidates? I'm offering, all of students an alumni foundation, so you'll be able to be proud to have studied at Worcester. And by the way, I'd like to break the barrier. I'm not actually Superman. My name is Ivan Stedlock, and I do study at Worcester. Just like to throw that out there. It'll be a great chance to meet with students after you finish university, to maybe go have champagne at the race course in a special event, or maybe even have a pint in whatever this will be called in 20 years' time, or even have business opportunities with employability. Another point that stands out from, I guess, the other candidates is my LGBT and Black, Asian, minority, ethnic student representation in academia. One of the things that made me really think about it to write in my manifesto was a thing called, actually I won't name the company, but there was a misogynist manifesto where a person was fired in a big tech company for publishing an anti-female manifesto. And I feel it's really important to have students that come out of Worcester who aren't sexist, who aren't homophobic, who aren't racist. And I'd like to integrate that into the curriculum more. For example, in business, where I study, have more business case studies which are led by LGBT or Black, Asian, minority, ethnic business leaders. In psychology, for example, study more different varying case studies and sciences and other courses. Thank you.
Kelly, did you? From my point of view, everybody's manifesto is personal to them. They've come up with ideas like I've come up with mine. The reason I've gone with my manifesto and I think it'll work is because I've got solutions to what I want to do. From being a course rep and an institute rep, I've seen what's going wrong, I've got ideas of how it can work, and when speaking to students as being an institute rep, what I've said, like things like making sure that you can choose your patria, the difference is people always like, yeah, I agree with that. And I believe that it's nothing to do with, well, it is to do with the course leaders, but at the end of the day, if us students don't say what we want, then how are we ever going to change the university to what we want? And at the end of the day, we're paying the money to come to university. If we cannot change what, give a voice to what we want to do, then how on earth is it going to help develop us? We're going to keep going through this cycle where course leaders and academic tutors and everybody else thinks they know what we want, but really we know what we want, but not voicing it. So the only reason I think my manifesto is different to anybody else's is because I've thought of what's wrong with the current Students' Union, and they've come out with ideas that can help improve it, and that's what I'm going to put in place.
Yeah, I mean, obviously for me, the experience of being in the role for the last 9 months, I think helps. Given that next year we'll have the new code of practice for academic representation in place, I think what's a benefit of me having worked on it for over the year is that I'll be quite passionate to actually make a success of it and really put it through. That goes as well for the communication. With the strategy coming in, it's something that I've been working a lot on this year, and I want to see through. So, although these are kind of maybe not particularly new ideas, because as I said earlier, it's the next stage, I think, of the work I've been doing this year. I feel like my experience and and what that provides me with would be good enough reason for me to stand out.
Thank you. I've got a question now for you, which is, one proposal in the current review of post-18 education is to introduce variable fees for different types of degree based on the average graduate salary. What are your views on this? Katisha, Ivan?
I have to say I completely do not agree with having different values for different courses. How are we going to measure which course is more important than the other? They're saying to do it on how much money you get out of the course, but how do you know what someone's going to go on to do? But there's so many degrees, like business. How many different things can you do with a business degree? How many different things can you do with an English degree? There's so many different opportunities. How would you even be able to start to measure what the value of a course is? The value of a course is what you make it. You're not going to, if you can pay £9 for a course, and if you kind of just about pass through it, you're not going to have got the full value out of it. If you pay £9 for a course and you fully dedicate yourself to that course and get everything out of it, you're going to get miles above the £9 you paid. By putting a price on different subjects to say that one's more important than the other, I think from that you're going to get universities putting more effort into the courses that cost more. And therefore the courses that have a lower cost are going to be seen as the courses that people who come from a different background with a lower income are going to go into. And you're going to get that stigma of class. The beautiful thing about university is we have so many people from different backgrounds, different diversities going into the same classroom to study the same thing because they have a passion for it. The reason we're all here doing the degrees we do is because we have a passion for that subject. We wouldn't be spending £9 a year otherwise. So I think it's just an unfeasible idea in my opinion.
I've been quite deeply involved in the Students' Union over my past 2 years as a student here. I'm a student trustee, which means I have to review the accounts of the Student Union and make sure it's financially viable. But it also involves so much more than that. It involves looking at frameworks such as the Teaching Excellence Framework, which I've looked into. And the initial proposal of the TEF was to, again, introduce variable fees. If you look at my poster up there, it does not say introduce variable fees, so I'm deeply against that. And for obvious reasons, it will create elitism in society and just divide society even more. And at a time when there's racists in the media, I wouldn't want anything else. I wouldn't want division at uni. Thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of been echoed already, but if we said that one course was cheaper to study than another course, that would, as it's already been alluded to, cause a certain class of people to think, oh well, maybe I can only afford that one, and what does that bring? What, as a country, that would be quite wrong to start putting people off doing a certain subject if they've got the ability to do that subject because of cost. So I think if that proposal did go anywhere, I think I'd definitely support standing up and against any movement towards that for sure.
Thank you, Kelly.
Mine's the same as everybody else really. All I'd say is when you sign up to university, you all go for this, well not the same degree, but all go for a degree. And think about all the different things that Worcester gives you around your degree, so your Worcester Award, your opportunities to do volunteering, your opportunities to do job roles like graduate ambassadors and student ambassadors. So you're all getting the same opportunities, so this should be the same price. It shouldn't be different classes because again it will create class, and then what opportunities should people get which other people shouldn't get. So I agree completely that it'd be just too many levels of class to keep it like that.
Lovely, thank you. I've got a final question for you, but you literally have a minute left between you all to answer it, so please make your answers as short as possible, which is, the new regulator for higher education, the Office for Students, will take up its regulatory role on the 1st of April. A key focus of their work is around value for money. What do you think the value for money is in relation to education? Ivan?
Having reviewed the OFS and just seen what it's about, I believe Worcester offers amazing value for money. It's the idea of community, which is part of my manifesto, the idea of making happy and positive students. I think that is value for money ultimately, and these people then going into business.
Thank you. Kelly?
So my thing would be value for money is what you guys give us and what we can do for you. At the end of the day, Worcester can provide opportunities for you guys. So over the next year, if you elected me and if you guys give me what you want to achieve as well as what I want to achieve from my manifesto, we can put that in and try and get value for money so you get what you want out of putting 9,000 in a year.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I tell the office for students to forget the idea of value for money as the way it's currently discussed. I don't think it's helpful in that sense. There was a study done in Scotland asking Scottish students who don't pay any fees what they think if they were getting value for money in their education, and some of them didn't feel like they were getting value for money, despite the fact that they weren't actually paying fees. So I think the conversation and the focus around value for money that's going on at the moment within the sector, I don't think is particularly helpful, and I think it should be much more focused on the student experience during at the universities rather than value for money.
I think, as I said before, you get out of the course what you put into it. So in terms of evaluating value for money, it's very hard to look into it on a general basis because case by case, some students get out more than others do just because they put in more. To be honest, if it was students thinking they don't get value for money, I'd look at adjusting the contact hours that they get, possibly the one-to-one system going through the personal academic tutors. But I think we need to realise it's not just the education that's getting, it's also the support services we're getting. So if we can up those and make the welfare support services that we're getting at this uni better, the entire value for your course is going to improve.
Lovely, thank you very much. Can we please have a round of applause? And then last but certainly not least, can we have the candidates for Vice President Student Activities? Jake, I'm going to start with you. And your minutes start now.
Right, so my name is Jake Thompson. I'm currently a third-year sports and exercise science student and the vice chair of men's rugby. Throughout my 3 years here, I've always been part of men's rugby, and the enjoyment that I've taken from being part of that society has really helped me in my motivation to run for this role, because it's honestly made my time here also 3 of the best years of my life, and I'd like to be able to share that joy with every other student that comes to this university. The main points of my manifesto are increased interaction between sports teams and societies. You hear about sports teams having joint socials and stuff all the time, but when you ever hear about the sports team and society having a joint social, and how often do you see societies such as Loco, how often do you see their shows announced and promoted around the university? It's very rare. That which leads on to the second point of my manifesto, where just general increased awareness of events, matches, shows, etc. Just getting out there, getting more people down to watch and creating a better sense of community at the university.
Thank you. So Jake, my question to you is, your manifesto clearly states that being involved in the union can increase your sense of belonging. How would you ensure that more students got involved with the opportunities that we provide?
Okay, so I think if you're not part of a society or a sports team, you might not be fully aware of the opportunities the SU gives. Things such as the Worcester Awards, where you get rewarded for a number of things, including volunteering. If I hadn't been part of a sports team, I probably wouldn't have been aware of that at all. And I think the promotion of that on social media pages, posters, not just in the SU but around the university altogether, and just general better promotion to make students that aren't frequently in the SU more aware of these kind of availabilities to them.
Thank you. Harrison? Ready?
Yes.
Go.
Hello everybody, my name is Harrison Jarrett. I'm a third year student. I currently study physical education and sports coaching science. I am the current chairman of the Men's Football Society. A lot has changed in the society this year. I'd like to think we've changed our image, our philosophy. We've gotten a lot more different societies. Just through doing that, I can hope that you can all see that I can bring a lot to the table being in this role in the SU. A few points off my manifesto. I really am passionate about increasing student voice and feedback. I want to hold an open door policy. I really want to strive to improve the relationships between the university, the students and the academia. I want to ensure that every single society's got all equal opportunities, both clubs, sports and societies, for fundraising and to really boost their profiles throughout the university. I want to promote recreational activities as opposed to just competition activities all the time. And I want to implement a new usage of Team Worcester TV.
Lovely, thank you. So Harrison, my question to you is, why do you think it's important that the union has a strong working relationship with the university?
Good question. So, I believe that the relationship between the university and the SU is key, because a lot of the people that go to university are obviously on their courses, and if they're doing well through their academia, then they're going to do well for their sports teams. I think the focus shouldn't just be on the sports team. It's almost like we should promote the sports teams as being like a privilege in order to represent the university, as long as you're doing well in your academia. Because as mentioned in education, it's really important to make sure you're doing academically well and then get together in teams and compete on that level.
And then Al, ready? Get here.
So hi, my name's Al. I'm a master's student, and the reason why I want to go for this role as VP Student Activities is so I can use my experience and knowledge throughout the whole 3 years of university and for my master's now, and put it toward you guys and push forward to then you can develop that knowledge for myself. And throughout my involvement at university, I've been part of the cheerleading society, and I've been helping out with Freshers Week at times, and alongside that, I've also been coaching down at Riverside, so I'm involved a lot at the university. And my 3 main points for the manifesto. So the first one is building local partnerships outside the uni and bring them into your sports and societies, such as with football, can we bring in local clubs, such as netball, local society, local clubs for net, for drama, for art. Is there anything you want to bring in? And second of all, I want to try and include all institutes throughout university, so not just the sports and the arts. So can we include the humanities and the education? So will it be the case that we can create a competition throughout the year, and if societies and sports can do that?
Al, my question to you is, in your manifesto you mentioned that you want to create a sports and societies competition for institutes to compete against each other throughout the year. Could you expand on that a bit more?
Yeah, so just carrying on from there. And the main reason is, so like, for example, the medics. You don't really get to see them in a lot of sports or society because they are crushed up with their placement. So I feel as though with that, maybe we can create a medic society for sport league. I know some universities already do that, so why can't we do that to support them? It would just be a little thing to talk about the university as well, so it could be on a weekend, like say we have, for example, history versus English playing badminton and how they get on. So it's just a different competitive as well as the academic side really. So yeah.
Lovely, thank you. I'm going to open up now to the audience. Are there any questions? Yeah. Olga? Bear with. No, sorry. Oh, it's alright, it's fine. Sorry, I didn't see you, Leanne, sorry.
Hi, just because the 3 of you are both. Ooh! Ooh! So, the 3 of you are obviously involved in sports and not societies. What makes you think that you can represent societies as well?
Jake Harrison, then now.
One of my main points on my manifesto is that I've been part of the sport myself. I follow a lot of the sports pages, etc. on Instagram. As far as I'm aware, we have a UW performance page on Instagram, which is kind of all performance teams playing on Wednesday, they go on. There's nothing like that for societies. There's very, in the varsity we have events made for all of the matches to take place. There's nothing like that for when they can have a show and things like that. So that's something I'd be very keen to push for, is to make sure that both sports and societies have equal promotion all across the social media pages, around the university, on the notice boards, that kind of thing. And just kind of making them more interlinked. At the minute I feel it's very much sports teams and societies, and they don't cross over very much, and most people are already involved in one or the other and not both. So just kind of making them a lot more kind of interchangeable and fluid together.
Yeah, so number 5 on my manifesto is the implementation of Team Worcester TV. Now, it sounds like it's just sports orientated, I can see, but I actually mean for it to be both sports and societies. Now, the concept behind this idea was to simply attend events, or maybe if you want to promote your events, we'd make a highlight video and then we'd promote it on Twitter, on Facebook, around the university campuses, on the screens that are available around the SU, to really push and really promote you guys. So that was sort of an idea of how I could push it that way. As well, through use of social media, boosting your platforms, posters all around university. There's loads of ways, endless amounts of ways that you can really boost societies, which I do believe needs to happen as well, definitely.
Thank you, Al.
And I feel as though this year should now be the year of society, so I feel as though this year sport has come through a lot, so you've got the media pages going through, so now I feel as though we need to bring the society parallel with that. And also that whole, my idea of competition, so everyone can get to know what sport, what societies we have. So when I was looking on the SG website, I didn't realise how many societies we have, so I feel as though they need a lot more promotion just to get everyone else involved with you.
Thank you. Can we go to Old?
As a science student, we're not involved in sports basically. I didn't hear or see that anything like that will invite us science students to work with you guys or try something. So how would you promote and encourage us, science, to do sports?
So if we make that more broad, so maybe just not the Institute of Sport, so how would you encourage other institutes? If we go Harrison, Jason, yeah.
Okay, so I've got a few ideas. Firstly, a lot of people access Blackboard. So on your main page on My Day, you have the top screen where the posters go across. It might be a case of where there's a lot of advertisement in that aspect, so it could be on there. Also, I'd like to think that, number one, I like talking to everyone, so I'd probably go around a lot of your sort of environment and talk to all the lecturers direct as much as I can. And also a point on mine was to do with recreational activities. So, for example, the nursing individuals, yourselves, paramedics, all the different people that can't always commit to this competitive element of sport. Maybe if they just had taster sessions where they can turn it whenever they like, they don't have to commit to anything. They meet new people and they really get engaged in sport. Are the three sort of elements that I'd really push in order to promote sport throughout the whole unit.
Same again. So when I'm looking about institutes, I feel as though bringing everybody in so they get the chance to be involved in a sport, in a society. It might be a bit tight on time because you've got other things going on, but I would bring in the fact that so my first point is raising awareness of sport and society is for everyone. So there could be the case like maybe every sport, for example, has to have at least once a month or every 2 weeks they run a taster session for recreational. So like myself, if I want to go and join football, I don't do the competitive side. I'll just go for it just for fun and have a laugh. That's all I want to do. So yeah.
Thank you, Jake.
I'd like to assume that the reason that people in other institutes aren't getting involved in sports and societies is due to a lack of available time. So most sports events take part on a Wednesday afternoon. I know it was Sophie Glennie's, one of Sophie Glennie's campaign was last year, was she wanted to look into more institutes not having lectures on a Wednesday afternoon to make them more available to play sports. I think if I was elected into a role, that's something that I'd be keen to look into further, see how far she's come with that, see what else I could do with it. But also making students more aware of events that don't necessarily take place just on a Wednesday afternoon. So I know for a fact that Loco they have meetings on I believe it's a Tuesday night, all week, there you are, all week, late at night. American football play on a Sunday, so they're not doing much in the week. And there's always events and things happening that aren't during lecture time and stuff. They just need more promotion for students to be made more aware of when these are taking place.
Lovely, thank you. I have a final question for the candidates, but before I do, I believe we have a special guest that wants to come down and say Dennis, I believe you have a message for us. Wonderful. So voting is now open. It will be open until 2:15 on Friday. So you can vote online via the website or at a polling station on campus. So yeah, happy voting. Make sure you vote. Thank you, Dennis.
No problem.
Thank you, Dennis. Sorry. Love you. My final question to the candidates for Vice President Student Activities is our Raise and Give scheme has gone from strength to strength, raising more money than ever before for charity. If you're elected, what will you do to help it continue to flourish? Al and Jake and Harrison?
So my third point on the manifesto is letting sports and society choose a charity to fundraise for and it becomes more meaningful. So each sports society, you talk amongst yourselves, see which charity you would like to fundraise for, and within that, that will also create your opportunity to volunteer for them. So if they have a shop down in town, you can go and volunteer there. If they have pop-up fashion in outside in other local areas, you can go and do that. And I feel as though it would also look good for your sport and society as well to say that you are doing other things apart from just playing sport or being just in your society.
Thank you, Jake.
So we at Men's Rugby, we had a joint rag event about a month or so ago with men's cricket, and we had a great time. Everyone got on really well, and we made £450 odd, I believe. And I found that this worked very well because there was two societies coming together, and there was a lot more people coming out to watch. We enjoyed it a lot more, and all around it was just a great day. And this comes back to my point on manifesto about bringing societies and sports clubs together in more joined rag events, inter-society rag events, inter-club rag events, and just generally creating a better community and everyone getting on better in between those. And as well as that, I'd like to introduce at home games. Each society has a rag officer, and at home games on a Wednesday, events, whatever's going on throughout the week, just having someone stood there with a bucket for some loose change, collecting bits and pieces. If we only get a tenner put in the bucket the other day, it's a tenner better off than we were before for rag, and it's just a little bit of the year like that, just add up towards a bigger total at the end of the year.
Yeah, so echoing both of their points, very good points. In my time at university, the first ever charity fundraising event we actually done was joint with the ladies football, which was this year. I'd never actually previously done one before then, no idea why. It was actually a fun process to really plan. We went round the city trying to get loads of people engaged with the process, so I really enjoyed it. And pointing to point 3 on my manifesto, it's actually, as the SU, I want to provide opportunities for both sports clubs and societies to come, as that open door policy is always welcome, to work together to really help with these fundraising events. So I'd like to think that doing this and electing me, we can do that together.
Lovely, thank you. Can we please have a massive round of applause? So that brings our session time to a close. Like I said, voting is now open, so please show candidate support throughout the rest of the week. It will close at 2:15 on Friday, and then the results night will be held in the hangar from 7 o'clock on Friday. So hopefully we will see you all there. Good luck, and thank you very much.